Wife slept with my boss to help my career, so I left her instead. I never thought I'd be writing something like this. I'm a 35-year-old man, and until recently, I thought my life was on a steady, if not spectacular, path. I had a decent job, a small house, a wife I trusted completely, and a future I thought we were both working toward. Now I'm sitting in an empty apartment with a suitcase full of clothes, writing this out because I don't know whether to scream, cry, or laugh at the absurdity of it all. Let me start from the beginning. Part 1, The Opportunity. About 6 months ago, my company announced that a regional manager position was opening up. I've been working at this place for nearly 8 years, loyal, hardworking, the guy everyone could depend on. The promotion would have meant a big salary bump, better benefits, and finally being able to pay off the mortgage early. My boss, Greg, was the one making the final decision. Greg's a smooth talker, late 40s, divorced twice, and very hands-on with his employees, if you know what I mean. He always had that fake charm, the kind that makes you want to shower after talking to him too long. My wife, Laura, knew how important this promotion was to me. She'd been complaining for years that we were stuck and that she deserved a better life. I thought she was just frustrated, but now I realize she was planning something else entirely. Part 2, The Weird Behavior. A few weeks before the final interviews, Laura started acting off. She began paying a lot more attention to her appearance, wearing expensive dresses for my company parties, and insisting she should come with me to a few networking dinners with Greg. I didn't think much of it at first. She's outgoing, and I figured she just wanted to be supportive. But then things started feeling strange. After one particular dinner, she came home late. I asked her where she'd been, and she said Greg had wanted to talk business, and that she stayed behind to make a good impression for me. When I asked what she meant by that, she snapped, "You never take initiative. Someone has to fight for you." I brushed it off as stress. But I should have known something was wrong when Greg started giving me odd smiles at work, like he knew something I didn't. Part 3, The Promotion. I didn't get it. Instead, Greg called me into his office one morning, gave me a pat on the shoulder, and said, "You're a great worker, man, but the board wants someone more adaptable." It was humiliating. I'd worked my ass off, only to be passed over for a guy who'd been with the company for 2 years. That night, when I came home angry and exhausted, Laura didn't comfort me. She said, "You'll get another chance. Maybe you just didn't play the game right." When I asked her what she meant, she just smiled and said, "Sometimes success requires sacrifices." I didn't understand then, but her tone sent chills down my spine. Part 4, The Discovery. 2 weeks later, I found out the truth. One of the receptionists at work, who's always been kind to me, pulled me aside. She looked pale and nervous. "I shouldn't say this," she whispered, "but I think you deserve to know. Greg's been bragging around the office. He said your wife knows how to get things done." I felt my stomach drop. When I confronted Laura that night, she tried to deny it, at first. She screamed that I was being paranoid, that Greg was lying, that I was ruining everything by not trusting her. But when I told her that Greg had shown pictures to people at work, she broke down. She admitted it. She said she did it for us. That she wanted to make sure I got the promotion, that she took one for the team. She said Greg promised to put in a good word, and that it was a one-time mistake. I just stood there. I couldn't even speak. I remember my heart pounding so hard I thought I was going to pass out. She reached for me, crying, begging me to understand. But there's nothing to understand when the person you love betrays you like that. Part 5, The Fallout. I packed a bag that night. I left her sobbing on the kitchen floor. Greg's smug face haunted me for weeks. I quit my job soon after. I couldn't work under him knowing what had happened. HR was useless. They said it was a personal matter. I stayed with my brother for a while, trying to process everything. Laura kept calling, texting, emailing, saying she made a mistake, that she did it for love, that I shouldn't throw our marriage away over one night. One night. That one night destroyed 8 years of trust, of loyalty, of everything I believed we had. Part 6, The Aftermath. 2 months later, Greg was fired for violating company policy. Apparently, I wasn't the only husband he'd bragged to. HR couldn't ignore it anymore. Laura tried to use that to crawl back into my life. She said it proved he took advantage of her. Maybe he did manipulate her, but she still made that choice. She still betrayed me. Now she lives with her parents, and I've started a new job in another city. I'm renting a small apartment, but for the first time in years, I feel peace. I don't hate her anymore. I don't even wish her ill. I just don't care. Some betrayals are so deep, there's no coming back. She thought sleeping with my boss would get me ahead. Instead, it just showed me how far I'd fallen, and how much higher I could rise once I walked away. It's been a little over a year since I left my wife, Laura, after discovering she slept with my boss to help me get promoted. I never thought I'd write an update, but so much has happened that it almost feels like another life, one where I finally found peace, until she showed up again. Part 1, Life After the Storm. When I left, I thought I'd never recover. The nights were the hardest. Lying awake, replaying everything in my mind, wondering how someone who said they loved me could trade our marriage for a promotion that never even came. But slowly, life started piecing itself back together. I found a new job in a smaller city 2 hours away. The pay wasn't as high, but the environment was respectful, professional, and, most importantly, clean of that corporate sleaze I'd been drowning in before. I rented a modest apartment, started going to the gym again, and reconnected with friends I'd lost touch with. My brother introduced me to his coworker, Emily, a woman who'd been through a nasty divorce of her own. We didn't rush into anything romantic, but we became close. She understood pain, betrayal, and the slow process of rediscovering your worth. For the first time in a long while, I was okay. Part 2, The Message. Then, in late January, I got an email. The subject line just said, "Please read this. I'm sorry." It was from Laura. I stared at the screen for what felt like an hour before I finally opened it. Her message was long, 5 full paragraphs of apologies, explanations, and what I could only describe as desperation. She said she'd been living with guilt every single day. That she didn't know what she was thinking when she slept with Greg, that it was a moment of weakness, and she'd lost everything because of it. She told me Greg was fired shortly after I left, which I already knew, and that his life had spiraled out of control. Apparently, he'd tried to contact her again, and when she rejected him, he threatened to tell everyone what really happened. She begged me to meet for closure. I deleted the email. But then she sent another. And another. And when I ignored them, she texted my brother. That's when I realized, she wasn't looking for closure. She was looking for forgiveness she hadn't earned. Part 3, The Encounter. I eventually agreed to meet her. Not because I wanted her back, but because part of me needed to see for myself that I'd made the right choice. We met at a small cafe downtown. She looked different, tired, thinner, eyes hollow like someone who hadn't slept properly in months. She tried to smile when she saw me, but it didn't reach her eyes. "I'm glad you came," she said softly. "You look good." I thanked her, but I didn't return the compliment. She started crying before she even touched her coffee. "I've ruined my life," she said. "My parents barely speak to me. Everyone at work knows. Greg humiliated me, and you hate me. I just wanted you to know that I'm sorry." Her words were full of regret, but there was something in her tone that still felt manipulative, like she was performing sorrow rather than feeling it. I told her I appreciated the apology but that forgiveness didn't mean reconciliation. That's when she leaned forward and whispered, "Can we try again?" Please. I know I made the biggest mistake of my life, but people can change. Part 4, the truth comes out. I asked her why she really did it. She hesitated. Then she admitted something I hadn't expected. She didn't do it for me. She did it because she thought Greg would help her, not me. Apparently, she had her own ambitions. She'd been applying for a marketing position under Greg's department and believed getting close to him would help her climb faster. The "I did it for us" story had been a lie from the start. I sat there, speechless. She must have seen it on my face, the way my expression shifted from pity to disgust, because she started crying again, louder this time, drawing attention from other tables. I told her I hoped she got help and left. Part 5, moving forward. That night, I blocked her number and email. A few weeks later, I found out through a mutual friend that she'd moved to another state. She'd lost her job after her affair became public knowledge, and apparently, her new employer found out too. I don't celebrate her downfall. I don't want revenge. I just want distance. Meanwhile, my own life continued to quietly rebuild itself. Emily and I started dating officially about 4 months ago. She's kind, grounded, and most importantly, honest. She doesn't try to fix me, but she also doesn't let me drown in my past. Sometimes, when she laughs, I realize how silent my old house had been for years. Part 6, the closure. A few weeks ago, I received a letter in the mail. Handwritten. No return address. Inside was a single line. I hope one day you'll remember me as someone who made a mistake, not someone you hate. I didn't feel anger. I didn't feel sadness. Just acceptance. Because she was wrong, I don't hate her. I simply don't think about her anymore. What she did used to define me. Now, it's just something that happened. Something that led me to a better version of myself. I burned the letter and threw the ashes into the sink. Then I took Emily out to dinner. As we sat across from each other, laughing over cheap wine, I realized something profound. The best revenge isn't success. It's peace. It's been about 2 years since I left Laura after discovering she slept with my boss to help my career. And nearly a year since she first tried to contact me again. Life has been peaceful, and I finally feel like I can breathe. That peace was about to be tested again. Part 1, a random message. It started with a message on LinkedIn. I rarely check it, but something made me glance. I know you're married now, but I need to talk. Please. Laura. My heart skipped, not in panic, but in disbelief. She had the audacity to try again. I ignored it. She followed up with emails, texts, even tried to message Emily on social media. I found out she'd reached out to my brother again. Finally, one morning, there was a voicemail. Her voice sounded desperate, shaking. I've changed. I'm different now. I want you back. Please, just meet me. I felt anger flare up. But also pity. For the first time, I realized just how trapped she had become in her own mistakes. Part 2, the attempt. She somehow found my new address. One evening, she showed up at my doorstep. Emily answered the door. Laura froze, scanning the apartment, seeing our life together, photos of us, our cat, the little apartment that had become a home. I just wanted to see him, Laura stammered. Emily didn't budge. She told Laura politely but firmly to leave. Laura's expression twisted between guilt, desperation, and anger. I walked out to see her standing there in the cold. I'm sorry I hurt you, she said. I've realized what love really is. I want you back. I just stared. You can't come back, I finally said. You made your choice. I'm happy now. Leave. Part 3, her desperation. She tried everything, crying, begging, even offering to explain everything in detail. I told her she'd explained enough a year ago. Her manipulations, her lies, her betrayal, I had forgiven, but I had no intention of letting her ruin my life again. She stood there for what felt like an eternity, finally turning away, muttering something about, maybe one day he'll see I changed. I closed the door. And for the first time, I felt no guilt. Part 4, Reflection. I realized something important. Laura's attempts weren't about love. They were about control, about trying to insert herself back into my life because she couldn't stand being left behind. Her repeated failures were her own doing. She hadn't changed, she had just become more desperate. Meanwhile, Emily and I continued building our life together. We moved into a bigger apartment, started planning a future, and even adopted a small dog. Every day I am reminded that real love doesn't manipulate, coerce, or betray. It grows quietly, patiently, honestly. Laura will always be a lesson. A painful, unforgettable lesson. But she doesn't hold power over me anymore. Part 5, Moving Forward. I deleted all her contact info, blocked her on every platform, and told myself. Some people are part of your past for a reason. Some betrayals are permanent. And some people are not meant to be forgiven with a second chance, not because you hate them, but because you love yourself too much to let them back in. I can't control what she does with her life. She can try to rebuild it, make apologies, or chase after people who've moved on. But she will never touch my happiness again. I finally feel free. Moving on from my wife's betrayal, finding peace and happiness. It's been 3 years since I left Laura. 3 years since her betrayal shattered my world, and 3 years since I finally began to rebuild it on my own terms. Now, looking back, I see how every painful moment, every sleepless night, and every tear led me here, to a life that feels authentic, safe, and mine. Part 1, A New Chapter. Emily and I are officially married now. We had a small, intimate ceremony, just a few close friends and family. Nothing extravagant, because this time it's about us, not appearances. We've built a life filled with mutual respect, honesty, and laughter. The apartment is cozy but full of life, our dog runs around, we cook together on weekends, and even our little routines feel comforting. For the first time in years, I wake up excited about the day, not burdened by anxiety or past betrayals. Part 2, Closure. I haven't spoken to Laura in over a year. She tried reaching out multiple times after her last failed attempt, but I never responded. I know she's still out there somewhere, probably struggling with the consequences of her choices. And that's okay. I don't wish her harm, but she doesn't belong in my life anymore. The truth hit me one morning while I was having coffee with Emily: forgiveness doesn't always mean reconciliation. I've forgiven Laura in my heart, but I will never let her undo the life I've rebuilt. Part 3, Lessons Learned. If there's one thing I've learned from all of this, it's that betrayal can either destroy you or teach you how to protect yourself. Trust carefully. Choose your partners wisely. Don't let anyone convince you that their mistakes are your burden. And most importantly, love yourself enough to walk away from people who betray you, no matter how much history you share. Part 4, Peace. Now, I live without fear, without manipulation, and without lingering resentment. I've built a life that's mine, and I'm proud of it. Sometimes I think about Laura. Not with anger, not with sadness, but with detachment. She is a chapter in my life, nothing more. Happiness isn't about revenge. It's about peace, stability, and the people who genuinely care for you. For anyone reading this who's been betrayed, manipulated, or hurt, it's possible to start over. It's possible to find real love and trust again. And it's possible to finally feel free. My wife slept with my boss to help my career, and I left her. A few years ago, I discovered my wife, Laura, slept with my boss to try to help me get a promotion. I was devastated. The betrayal cut deep, but I knew I couldn't stay. I left her, quit the job, and started over in a new city. She tried reaching out months later, begging for forgiveness and claiming she'd changed. I listened, but I realized she hadn't. She had done it for her own gain, not for love. I blocked her, focused on rebuilding my life, and eventually met Emily. She's honest, kind, and trustworthy. Together, we created a happy, stable life. Laura tried to return again later, but I didn't let her. I realized the lesson she taught me: some people are meant for your past, not your future. Forgiveness doesn't always mean reconciliation, and true happiness comes from peace, not revenge. Now I'm married to Emily, living a life full of trust and love, finally free from manipulation. The betrayal once felt like the end of the world. Now it's just a chapter that led me to real happiness.